Hello and welcome to Instant Transmission, a podcast where we discuss everything Dragon Ball and why Android 69 was cut from the anime. Tonight, I'm taking my hands off the wheel and kicking it over to Todd for another installment of ITDB AI Storytime. So grab your most comfortable brain jar and goofy hat because we're going full robot tonight. I'm your host, Dayton, and once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Todd.
Hi.
And Todd has generated a brand new Dragon Ball story utilizing the power of artificial intelligence, and tonight I'll be hearing it for the first time alongside all of you. We're branching out to explore new ideas for content, so relax and have fun with us as we delve once more into the world of AI. And with all of that covered, was there anything you wanted to add before we got things started, Todd?
I don't think there's much. I've basically got the story ready. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one. It'll be interesting. Did you have anything else before we get started with this story?
No, this is going much better since I can just do the normal intro, unlike last time where what a train wreck. But yeah, I'm comfortable. My feet are up. I got a heat tap in my hand. Let's have a good time.
Hell yeah. Crack that heat tap and let's get started. All right. So just diving into the short story. Here we go. In the desolate wastelands of planet Vegeta, where the echoes of past glory mingled with the whispers of forgotten battles.
Oh, damn. This is intense.
Vegeta, the last of the Saiyan princes, embarked on a quest that would redefine his legacy. Determined to restore his people's honor and reclaim their rightful place among the stars, he sought out the legendary Dragon Balls, whose power was said to hold the key to his people's salvation. So right away, we started with multiple princes, which I guess is technically true.
I mean, the spin doctors would agree. Wow, that was a weird reference. Yeah, I love how dramatic it is. It's also interesting because we have no context as to how he's heard of the Dragon Balls or where we are in this story. It sounds like all the Saiyans are still around and he's here to kind of help out. I'm trying to piece this together a little bit.
It'll give a little bit more info, but yeah, it's a weird context to start with. But we're with Vegeta on planet Vegeta, and we're looking for the Dragon Ball.
Makes sense to me. Where else would you start?
I clearly there. All right. But as Vegeta delved deeper into the ruins of his shattered homeworld, he found himself ensnared in a deadly game of cat and mouse with an old nemesis, Frieza, the tyrant who had once enslaved his race. With a cunning born of centuries of conquest, Frieza sought to thwart Vegeta's quest and claim the Dragon Balls for himself, his malevolent gaze fixed upon the prize that had eluded him for so long.
How is yours so much more detailed than my story was? Mine was, they fought an epic battle and there was struggle. Yours is like, we've got like cat and mouse and they're staring at, this is, I mean, like, I feel the drama here. I feel the intensity. I don't know why we're here or how we got here, but like, I'm into it.
Yeah, we'll talk about the prompts once we get to the end. But yes, it's I don't know. It's dramatic. It's a little bit weird in context, but it's not the worst thing.
I mean, we're just setting the table at this point, and on a 10 out of 10 AI, like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I want to know more.
Yeah, Chat GPT hitting a home run here, at least for the moment. We'll see what you think as we continue.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited.
All right. Undeterred by the overwhelming odds stacked against him, Vegeta confronted Frieza in a battle that would echo through the annals of history. With every blow exchanged. Right. Yeah. Did you hear me specifically enunciate? I was like, why that word?
I was just like, oh, there's a 50-50 on whether I get that one right or not.
Uh-huh.
One history's great, one's kind of stinky.
But okay.
I'm really not helping. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting the story. I'm interrupting story time. ITDB AI story time. I need to relax.
As we echo through the annals of history, with every blow exchanged, he danced on the edge of oblivion, his Saiyan pride driving him to push himself beyond the limits of mortal endurance. But as the battle raged on, Vegeta realized that brute force alone would not be enough to defeat his cunning adversary. Drawing upon his intellect and tactical prowess, he devised a daring gambit that would turn the tide of battle in his favor. So we're kind of moving into... It's talking kind of in broad terms about the combat.
Okay,
here.
have they mentioned a name for this adversary? Did I miss that?
It did say you might have gotten distracted by the annals of history, but yeah, we're Frieza is the one. It basically said that Frieza is the one who's like, we had the little game of cat and mouse. Frieza's the person who enslaved his race, and Frieza's also trying to keep Vegeta from getting the Dragon Balls. Frieza's looking for the Dragon Balls himself.
Okay, you're right. Yep, and that was in the annals of history.
I got you distracted with that one.
Right. All right. I'm up to date.
All right. With a sudden burst of energy, Vegeta unleashed a new transformation, a power unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. His obsidian armor shattered like glass.
Obsidian armor? That's freaking rad as hell. I like this a lot. So I keep interrupting you, but your story's way better than mine was.
It's interesting. Yeah, obsidian armor for him is an interesting choice because he always has the white armor. But either way, with his obsidian armor shattering like glass as waves of raw energy surged through his veins, transforming him into a being of pure, untamed power, the Super Saiyan God.
Oh, interesting. So I have no idea where in the timeline this is happening. This is a brand new story with a brand new outlook for Vegeta. He skipped all the other levels of Super Saiyan and went straight to God.
Yeah, we didn't talk about any of the other Super Saiyan levels. It's interesting because we're on planet Vegeta. We're looking for the Dragon Balls on planet Vegeta. We kind of get the impression that the Saiyans have already been either enslaved or even destroyed. Like I mentioned, the ruined planet Vegeta at some point. Both Vegeta and Frieza want the Dragon Balls. At this point, who knows why? Yeah, it definitely feels like some sort of alternate universe storytelling, but it doesn't seem like a bad one.
I like it though. Imagine if when Goku first went Super Saiyan, what if he just like instead skipped straight to Super Saiyan God and then fought Frieza?
Yeah, it would have whooped the dog shit out of it.
It would have been a lot less interesting. I mean, there's some interesting ideas in here. I mean, it's at least framed very well, so I can give the AI credit for that. Like, it's the way it kind of lays out or describes things has actually been not terrible.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit over the top, but it's definitely not bad, honestly. Let's kind of keep moving forward, and we'll talk a little bit more as we get to the tail end here. But it was not brute force alone that secured Vegeta's victory. With a cunning born of desperation, he outmaneuvered Frieza at every turn, exploiting weaknesses in his opponent's defenses and turning his own arrogance against him. In a final climactic clash that echoed across the desolate landscape of planet Vegeta, Vegeta emerged victorious, his triumph a testament to the power of intellect and strategy in the face of overwhelming adversity, with Frieza defeated and his forces scattered to the winds. Vegeta stood triumphant, his gaze fixed upon the Dragon Balls shimmering before him. So I've only got, I think, one more paragraph, but we've got Vegeta basically beating Frieza, and he's got the Dragon Balls now.
Yeah, there's kind of a jump there where, well, with Frieza beaten, I have the Dragon Balls. Also, like, it's interesting to me that we don't get any, like, moves or any, like, specific thing that happened to win, right? Like, it's not like, you know, with a triumphant roar and a punch to the face, the tyrant was laid low or anything like that. It's always just like, using his cunning and intellect, he defeated the monster. Okay, cool.
Very broad strokes, right? Like, we don't get any cool, like, mental word pictures that they paint for us as far as like the actual fight, right? And we'll talk about the way that I prompted ChatGPT for this too later after at the tail end. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with that part as well. It's ChatGPT. It goes very broad strokes unless you really tell it to narrow in on something.
Yeah, I could see how talking to AI could probably be its own job, right? Where you're sitting there and you're combing through it, you're manipulating it, and you're figuring out the prompts and what it's looking for and how to get it to spit out what you want. Because I mean, there was a lot of cool bones in this story, and things were framed interestingly. And then at the end, it's like, and he won.
Yeah. Let me give you we'll talk about the whole thing. I've got one more paragraph to kind of wrap it up here, and then we'll talk about it as a whole. So, as he made his wish, not for personal glory or power, but for the restoration of his people and the revival of their shattered homeworld, Vegeta felt a sense of fulfillment unlike any he had ever known. And as the dawn broke over the rejuvenated planet of Vegeta, the last of the Saiyan princes stood as a beacon of hope and redemption, his legacy secured for all eternity.
So he gets the Dragon Balls, he restores his people, and he becomes an icon.
Yeah, I mean, what more could Vegeta want, right?
I mean, yeah, that all checks out to me. That's a complete story for Vegeta. But what does he do at that point? Now that, like, does he become king? I have more questions.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it leaves itself open like any good story for more story to be told, I guess. So good job, Chat GPT.
No, I mean, your story definitely feels like a more, I mean, if broad, but still a more cohesive, like full, like we've got the beginning and the conflict and what's the motivation of our hero and villain, and then we have an ending.
Yeah, honestly, I was impressed once I got this. I went through a couple different iterations. I did prompt it a few different times to kind of revise the story, but I was surprised. It does have. I mean, it has a start, a middle, and an end. Kind of. It should get into more detail about the combat. I agree with you on that. And it's, I don't know. It's very serious, almost to the point of being like over serious and over dramatic.
It's a little over the top. You can tell the AI doesn't know what the proper level of dramatic is. It's just kind of picking and selecting words that really fit the situation, regardless of how extreme they are.
Yes. Yeah, I very much agree. It's I think that's like, I don't know. I'd be curious if you gave this to somebody and asked them, like, just read this. Do you think this is written by AI or not? I feel like people can probably pick out like the little bit of oddities where AI is writing stuff in that way.
Unlike my story seamless. No one would have been able to figure it out.
Written by Akira Toriyama himself.
No, it's also obsidian armor. Where did that come from? Is obsidian ever referenced in Dragon Ball in a significant way? Because I can't think of anything.
No, I don't know if it's supposed to be. The impression I got from it using the word obsidian was more that it was talking about the color of it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's supposed to be literal obsidian.
I mean, it's possible, but he's also never worn obsidian colored armor, as far as I'm aware.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm pretty sure even as a child, all of his depictions are with him in like the white armor, white and tan or white and gold, except for like I think he had like green and brown armor or something in like the earliest Dragon Ball Z episodes when they had really weird colorations or color palettes.
Well, you probably figured too, obsidian's probably a pretty dark color, and as an animator or artist, you probably want to stay away from those because they probably wouldn't show up very well on the screen if you have people showing up with like all dark armor.
Yeah, that's a good point too. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I did want to point out here some things that I thought were funny because it did give titles to each of the stories, like each iteration. So the the three titles, I basically had three different iterations based on the revisions that I did. I think it started with The Legacy of Vegeta, and then the next one was The Prince's Gambit. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was the last one. The Prince's Gambit, I think, was the very last one. The middle one was The Prince's Triumph. So they, similar vein. To me, I wanted to call this Vegeta's Wet Dream, to be honest.
I mean, he gets everything he wants, right? He saves his people. He beats the big baddie who's been oppressing them. It's everything the Prince of All Foreheads wants.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very much just imagining Vegeta in mid-sleep as he's dreaming this scenario, being like, "Take my win against Frieza, will you, Kakarot?"
See, I don't know if I got titles with my stories. I don't know how you got Chat GPT to give you everything.
It did a pretty good job. And in fact, why don't we actually move to that with guessing the prompts that I put in. So what do you think, Dayton, that I put into Chat GPT to get the story I got here?
Man, it's something along the lines of man, this is a difficult one. Vegeta defeats Frieza to save his people, something along those lines.
Funny enough, not really. Well, you know what? It kind of moved in that direction towards the end. I'll give you the three that I had because I only had three prompts.
Okay.
So I'll start from the first one and make my way down. But the first one was not that at all. It did kind of turn into that though as it gave me the story. So my very first prompt was, actually, I'm sorry. I think there was kind of one pre-prompt, which my pre-prompt was, ChatGPT, I need you to act as a Dragon Ball expert and a short story expert. And then it kind of tells you like, okay, yeah, I know all this stuff. And then my actual prompts for the story were, write me a short story set in the Dragon Ball universe that sets a character other than Goku as the primary focus. Make it dramatic, action-packed, and a satisfying resolution. So I think that's kind of where you get a lot of the drama. And it does have like a start and a finish. It does the action-packed, I wish it would have done more with the action.
Yeah, I mean, the drama was there, right? Like the you understand why Vegeta's doing what he's doing. You get the cat and mouse reference. I mean, it's set up very well, and then it just kind of like, and then Vegeta wins and saves the day.
So the first iteration that it gave me, it didn't even have a name for the bad guy. It basically just said, a known rival or known nemesis of Vegeta appears and tries to stop him from getting the Dragon Balls. But it gave, like, it came up with the whole thing with Vegeta and protecting planet Vegeta and all that and looking for the Dragon Balls. So I just kind of went with that. So my next prompt was, this is good. So me giving the AI positive reinforcement. I don't know if that's necessary. But I said, rewrite it, be more specific about Vegeta's adversary, because I wanted a name, and how Vegeta triumphed over them.
I'm glad you're AI's like English teacher, basically.
Yeah, right. And then the last part there was, and what does Vegeta want with the Dragon Balls? So I think actually it didn't have a reason for Vegeta getting the Dragon Balls initially.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that it came up with a lot of elements we're sort of familiar with, right? Where it's, because did you have Vegeta specifically be involved with saving his people?
I didn't. And it didn't write it in that way originally. The only thing that I prompted it to do to get that was I said to, what does Vegeta want with the Dragon Balls? And I think that's where that came from.
Okay. So yeah, the AI was able to like, all right, what's Vegeta care about? Well, he cares about his people. He's the pride of his people, the pride of a Saiyan, and then, you know, their legacy. So they're like, all right, well, we're gonna go in here. We're gonna have Vegeta actually just save his legacy, and then he has nothing else to worry about. Like he accomplishes everything in one foul swoop. There's no more character Vegeta.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It was interesting to me that, like, I mean, I gave it a very broad. All I wanted was a story that had a main character who wasn't Goku. So it kind of picked basically the secondary main character in Dragon Ball, who is Vegeta. And then, of course, it picked Frieza, which I think your short story, like, I can't remember if you prompted it for Frieza or if it gave you Frieza.
I prompted it for Frieza. I actually asked my AI to have Frieza fuse with Cell, and then it just inserted in that it was going to be Cell's remains. I don't know why, but that was just strapped on there.
That's so weird. I think part of I know that you said you originally struggled with getting it to give you like a full short story. I think because that I prompted it in the beginning to be a Dragon Ball expert and a short story expert, that it was just giving me short stories like right off the get-go. I don't know a lot about AI, but that's something that I've heard that you should do to get good results with AI. I have no idea, but this turned out decent in the end. Honestly, I would have just liked to see more details about the fighting.
I mean, your story definitely gets more passing marks for being an actual story than mine does. Mine's sort of the train wreck I kind of wanted it to be.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think we both got the results we were more or less trying to get.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I like yours because I think you wanted it to be more ridiculous and off the wall. And then mine was like, mine feels kind of like a Dragon Ball story.
Yours is, you're right. That is the reality that Vegeta actually wishes that he was living in.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Vegeta has had his win against Frieza taken from him on multiple occasions. So I was not displeased getting to see him get his win.
It's also funny too, because in both of our stories, there's no like context of when, if at all, in the Dragon Ball story that this is happening. It's just kind of, here are the rough archetypes of these characters, and they're doing this. It's weird to me that the AI doesn't like try and find like an event that's happening and then make it happen in that event, right? Like, I don't need to understand the whole Dragon Ball story. I just need to understand that, like, all right, I don't know. I had one of my stories where they specifically reference being on Namek in one of them, and then the AI dropped it. But I thought it was interesting. It was like, oh, Frieza? Well, Frieza's big story was on Namek, so this must take place on Namek, which I thought was kind of neat. But in all the other ones, there's no real time or place.
Yeah, and mine kind of like it gives you Planet Vegeta, so you got a location. It does give you a little bit of reason for what's going on. Like, Vegeta wants the Dragon Balls to save his people or bring back his people, bring his planet back to glory. But even that was stuff that I was like, okay, I had to prompt it to give me that much.
Please add
and even
this.
then it was very generic.
I need this context. We are missing a lot of context here.
Yeah, right. So it's like, I don't know. AI is it takes a lot of hand holding is kind of what my experience with it has been.
I mean, but all you got to do is learn how to talk to AI, and then and then we can just automate the rest of ITDB. So we're off to the races at this point. You're officially the AI handler at this point.
There we go. We have become entirely obsolete.
Oh,
AI
damn, we should have done a text-to-speech intro for these. Dang it. Oh. I didn't even think about it. Oh, what a missed opportunity.
What were you thinking?
Man. We'll get it on the next time.
It's okay. Hang on. Let me get a text-to-speech app and we'll do our outro that way.
All right. Go ahead. Just copy paste that bad boy in. We're done with this thing.
There we go.
No, but overall rating, your story, I'm going to rate it knowing that it was written by an AI. I actually think it did decent. There's a lot of stuff that's missing, but I can forgive it. It tried to write a story with, motivation and compelling characters, and I would say you did a fine job. I'm going to give your story an AI 7 out of 10.
I think that feels appropriate. Like if I were to rate it overall, it'd probably be like a 6 or 7, especially knowing that AI wrote it. Yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting experience. Maybe this will be something that we kind of revisit in the future.
Maybe we'll maybe I'll actually learn how the freaking program works, and then
I think you said this was your first time using AI, right?
Yeah,
or at least
I mean, I more or less just know that other podcasts and shows that I enjoy did something like this. So I just wanted to jump on the bandwagon and see how it worked. And I mean, the hole goes deeper than I thought, but it's interesting. I don't know. It's probably, you're right. This is probably something that we'll revisit at some point. Probably not for a minute here, but it's definitely still on the table.
Yeah, I have mixed opinions about AI in general, as far as like, it's stealing people's art and stuff like that. But for like fun, recreational, silly stuff like this, I'm fully on board with it. I like it for stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we can play around with it. I don't know. I already have some ideas rolling around in my head that are way different than what we just did, and it still involves Chat GPT. And I don't know. We'll get around to it. Maybe we'll just have like like a dumpster night where we just get all of our ideas out there and then just post it on like Twitter, like all the stuff that's not making it to the regular episodes. I don't know, maybe something like that. I'm just spitballing.
Hell yeah. AI dumpster fire on Twitter. I'm all about it.
ITDB AI channel or Twitter account. Let's go.
This is our speaking of us on Twitter, this is our new Twitter account.
Oh shoot. All right. That's all I got though. That was a story. I appreciate you giving me a nice story right before bedtime because it is getting late.
Just read you to sleep. But that's going to be it for this episode of Instant Transmission, where we discuss everything Dragon Ball. This has been your host, Todd.
And Dayton.
Don't forget, we are on Patreon and Twitter. If you want to make our alternate universe dreams come true, you can find us at patreon.com/ITDBpodcast. And over on Twitter at x.com/ITDBpodcast. Our podcast episodes come out every Monday morning, so you can enjoy some Dragon Ball goodness on your commute. Please like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on. Thank you all so much for your support. Be sure to join us next time as we look into reviewing the only sort of new series by the late Akira Toriyama, Sandland. Yes, this is a slight deviation from Dragon Ball, but we think Akira Toriyama's style is distinct enough to make Sandland more like Dragon Ball's little cousin than an entirely separate series.
I'm looking forward to branching out maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it should be fun. Will Sandland have fast-paced combat like its older cousin? Will we see a few nods to its orange gi-wearing predecessor? The fuck's a Beelzebub? Find out next time. And to all our fellow Dragon Ball fans, stay safe out there, and remember to keep rocking the dragon.
I'm still making that fully AI account. That thing's going to be such a dumpster fire. I can't wait.
Hello, Twitter.